Hey, what's up, guys? What is this? Another Golden Age reprint. DC's doing a lot of these lately, so it's always fun because you know what's gonna come with everyone. You're gonna get the racism, lay the larger role in society and popular culture, consciously and unconsciously. But I will argue that in this one there is actually an example where even I was like, "Yo, come on, man, it's too far, man, seriously." But what is this? Military Comics #1. Right? This is first published in August of 1942. Right? So the war is in full swing with America now, engaging in actual combat. And it's interesting, stories of the Army and Navy. You'll see what I'm talking about. But this was a lot of fun. Separate from the war stuff I always talk about and how I feel about it, you get to see something interesting in here. I really enjoy this. I will say my premise right off the bat is the Golden Age comics in America. You had some of the craziest, most bizarre things, stories, characters, up there with anything that the Japanese did, which is, to their credit and to the credit of these people. There was some crazy stuff in here. And totally outside of even the superhero, comics. Also, I would argue that the character of the true American character in this, they hadn't centralized the authority so well in America yet. There was still kind of like a rebelliousness, kind of going against the grain sort of thing. Not done in a subversive manner, but done sort of like, it's hard to describe, just in an independent manner. Okay, that you see here, separate from the fact that this is propaganda, and you'll see propaganda in it, but it was interesting. Black Hawk, of course. I think I'm not too familiar with this character. I think they were adventurers. They got into the war like many of the superheroes did, but it was never really part of like the GI Combat or Sergeant Rock stuff. And it's funny, on the cover he's beating up. This is an American tank. This is an M2 cavalry car. The cavalry was not allowed to call their armored vehicles tanks. They had to call them combat cars. Of course, the chassis was identical to the Army's M2, which had the Mae West turrets, the twin turrets on it, which actually I thought they look ridiculous, but they actually made sense. Apparently, the drivetrain made it impossible to have a basket ring. I don't know what these guys did with this, but he's basically beating up Americans, even with the helmets. So anyway, all that autism enough. Let me get going here. So Army section. What? Wait, an Army. Then you proceed to see stories of combat, right? And like I said, the art, the Golden Age stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on here. They had to jam a lot of things into a preset amount of pages. Very strict, the editorial shit, but it's kind of cool. They sort of knew how to draw the planes. It's interesting too. This is early on in the war, so the Nazis. They're still portrayed in what was really kind of known. They seem so more like World War One Germans. We get the Prussian with the monocle, right? And you got the gutsy nurse willing to risk her life, and they're gonna kill her. Look at that. Yeah, but yeah, you go, girl. But in terms of the story, it's just like whatever. This is the dashing hero who, ironically, his uniform looks closer to the enemies that they're fighting than the actual what you saw in the very lame Allied and Soviet uniforms. Hugo Boss, that was boss, man. So Black Hawk will debut this September issue of Military Comics. Okay, on sale June 27th. So okay, so maybe this was before August, but you know how it is. The September issue comes out in June. Makes a lot of sense. Now we go to this is what I'm talking about now. You start to get to you get more you don't have superheroes. Okay, my brother James is right. Superheroes are essentially, you can't be a superhero. You can't be the X-Men. You're not a mutant, or maybe you are a mutant, but you get what I'm saying. You didn't get bit by a radioactive spider. You're not born on Krypton. So most of your heroes are just these regular mooks, men, mostly masculine, but wisecracking. So Loops and Banks, so the Red Dragon Squadron. So obviously, before this, you'd have always amazing, you had American aviators fighting and shooting down and killing Japanese pilots and personnel. Okay, it's not an act of war or anything, right? But you have Loops McCann and Banks Barrows, okay, basically flying in Japan. And it's kind of funny. Look, right off the bat, you see that these guys are kind of like rebellious mercenary types, test pilots, but they sort of have their own thing going on. Right, Mr. Barrows, what the blazes was the big idea of taking flight in a government plane? You are under arrest. No, wait, haven't your contracts as test pilots almost expired? Well, you won't have to wait any longer, Mr. Barrows. You're through. Busted out, washed up. Get out before I have you both shot. So these are your heroes. I kind of like that. Of course, they end up, in China. They're helping the Chinese against the Japs, right? And this. And you have some cool air combat. Yeah, it's fun. They shoot down. I forgot what these bombers were called. And of course, somehow in the middle of China, you have a blonde Aryan goddess there to save it. Swell, huh? Swell. Remember we used to say swell? Gosh, I never thought I'd have come down to Earth to find an angel. And of course, his buddy's not too impressed. He's like, phooey, the only place he's sick is in the head. And to top it all off, he has to meet a pretty woman. We're in for it now. So, of course, this is Loops and Banks. I've never heard of these characters, by the way. They're far more interesting right off the bat than any of your superheroes. So now we go to this. This thing reminds me of what are those ice pops that you always had in the summer, right? But the Blue Tracer, now this was kind of cool. Also, this is essentially, you have a very stereotypical Australian guy with a boomerang, helping this. Of course, this is in East Africa. Apparently, they were smashed by the Italians, But of course, they're British, but there's always one guy who's an American, Wild Bill Dunn, an American engineer, was sent out with them. So now my man here, look at the planes and tanks we captured from the fascists. Right, but the only ones you're fighting in East Africa, I'm assuming this is East Africa. The only ones you're fighting are the Italians. The Italians wish they had a tank like this, bro. But what's cool about this story is that they make this hey, snappy outfit you got on. Like, what the hell? You're like that fella. Anyway, this thing, the Blue Tracer, they make a super weapon. This reminds me of like something. This is like almost like a Japanese stuff, like Atragon or some of the other, the mechas. This is kind of interesting. A flying missile tank thing that could go submarine, right? So very interesting. Okay, and it's funny. The bad guys are not the fascists. And this is gonna be fun. The bad guys are whoa, no, careful. So yeah, this is like Atragon. I just think it's kind of cool. I don't know. Look, a white girl captive. We must save her. Oh, thank goodness. In America, in real life, you would have been killed in the bombing attack. And of course the boomerang. You could yeah. Oh, got him. Yeah, do that now. See how many years you're gonna do. Anyway, I enjoy this. Apparently, I looked this up. There were 16 stories with the Blue Tracer, and it's open domain. It's public domain at this point. Imagine if somebody took the Blue Tracer and did like a revisionist type war story with it, where he realizes that the side he's fighting for is actually the bad side. Can you imagine? I couldn't imagine anyone ever doing that. Anyway, this is gonna be too vague. You know me. So now here's what we're talking about, where it's like, okay, now you got 3 British prisoners. Okay, Archie Atkins, Desert Scout, in Libya. Okay, now I don't know how accurate this really is. Of course, they're fighting the Italians in Libya, but what the yo, dude, yo, that's fucked up. No, seriously, all kidding aside, whatever. That's not cool, dude. Come on, infidels. It's just kind of the story is kind of funny. Obviously, these British guys and their, I mean, this seems more like it would be like the Sudan or something. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting how even these guys, right? Where are those three idiots? AWOL at a time like this. So their commander, even though these are British guys, right? Their own commanders, their own authority, is kind of on them. Doesn't like them. So these guys sort of win. They get away, right? And we feel home. So you decide to return. Jolly decent of you. Right? So you get their commander. But mon cher major, it is because of them we are here, right? So then the goat that helped them whams the British commander in the ass. Yeah, so our heroes then are in the same position they were before by their own people. So you see what I'm saying? There's a little slyness in some of this stuff. It's, I don't know. So now we'll end it up with actually no, we'll do it how they do it. Okay? How they divide it up into the army and the navy. Right? So because the navy's next, shot and shell. So we got another duo of kind of eccentric, kind of outlaw heroes. Right? Once again, this guy here is like, I assume the Air Corps needs men. That's right. Have you seen any? And he goes, I know of one. And he starts talking about how he's been in the Spanish-American War, the Indian War. And he's like, doesn't that put him over military age? And just who is this Colonel Shot? I, sir. Zounds, I protest you boys. I want to fly. And they kick him in his ass. This is what I like. You see it like the heroes, they're not even liked by their commanders, and they're treated like, they're punished like this. They're kicked in the ass. They're threatened to be shot. And you get this palooka here, and they get into some kind of adventure, right? Right. There's a Nazi military attaché looking on, right? So it's true. Herr von Schlaben is amongst the spectators. Poof, we can go. You'll run better on any invention, right? And it's funny too because the plane that this guy makes, look at this thing. It actually falls apart during the maneuvers, right? And for some reason, Donnerwetter, I just like, that was always like the slang term for the bad Germans. My grandfather used to say Donnerwetter all the time. What kind of infernal machine is that? Men, we must obtain their secret. So they think that this plane, this crappy plane, whose wings ripped off, is a secret weapon. So they land there, and of course, shucks. So my old man is fighting with the cane, and my man is like throwing hands, bop, right? Dirty Krauts. I like this. I must commend you heroic deeds to the proper authorities. It's men like you the country needs. It's like, well, I'll let you stick with me, Colonel. That is if you promise never to brag or lie no more, right? And he's like, my boy, your syllables hang heavy around my throat like an albatross. So be it. So this is another team here. That was fun. I mean, at this point in the war, it's like everything is like cartoonish. I'm not even offended by the Donnerwetter, all this, the Germans. It's like a joke already. In some ways, the lack of realism makes this enjoyable. So I like that. But that was the Army section. So we'll split it up, and then we'll go into the Navy section. Stories of naval and air action on the sea. And in some ways, drawing planes and Army stuff on the ground is a lot more fun to draw. Drawing ocean stuff is going to be a little more challenging. But some of the art in this is probably even better than what you had here. I mean, the art is fun, it's wacky, it's serviceable, to say the least. But some of the art in this, one of the artists in this is really friggin' like at another level, and it showed the different kinds of styles you had. Anyway, that's the Army section of Military Comics. August 1st, 1942. If you guys can see how things are now. Oh yeah, happy D-Day, 80 years to all the brave men. You know, your sacrifice is much appreciated. Uh, Thank you for your service.